Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy and ascension forecast for Sunday, February 11th to Saturday, February 17th. So last week we had Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, move into Aquarius energy here on the 5th, which absolutely just pressurized our headspace. Of course, the highest form of our intellect, the lower form of our intellect, they're working together now to not only gain a visual on where it is that we would like to go from here, but we're piecing some puzzle pieces together. We're connecting the dots. There's some rapid processing going on, really expanding our awareness, our consciousness, if you will, and it's really doing a number on our physical head. There's a lot of pressure up there, a lot of zaps coming in from the cosmos, if you will. And as if Mercury moving into Aquarius wasn't a good enough jolt, on the 5th, we had 17 different aspects. That was a huge cosmic day. And of course, if you've been kind of watching the Schumann Resonance, we absolutely seen the shift in the coding, in the programming taking place through the energy codes of that very specific day. Speaking of a lot of head pressure, as I come to you here Friday evening, February 9th, we just had the new moon in Aquarius pop off about an hour and a half ago. So I actually woke up this morning with a huge headache / borderline migraine. And of course, the very first thing that I do, I check out the Schumann Resonance and bam, there is an X flare. So of course, we'll talk about that in just a second, but we do have to understand that this is huge amounts of energy coming into kind of breakdown, because again, we're in the breakdown / breakthrough phase, break down the fragmented data packets still lingering in our physical form, in our bodies, in our emotions, in our mental plane, the mind, body, soul connection. We need to break that down in order for these pure energy blasts to clear us out. Again, providing a bigger space, if you will, to receive downloads of information that will provide us with the clarity, the solutions that we need to pivot moving forward. So we're very much still in this new moon energy. We will be for the next couple of days. This is definitely, I'm going to say, testing our ability to keep the body, the physical form, calm in a resting period while the mental plane and the heart space, our inner realms, just start popping off, doing what they got to do in order to get us into a realignment type of situation. We'll talk about that in just a second as well. So what do we got going on for this week, you may ask? Well, we are going to see Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire, even our anger, move out of the Capricorn energy and move into Aquarius energy. That's going to be taking place on the 13th. So, of course, if you want to take a listen to the 2024 year ahead overview, I go into depth and detail about what February has to offer us. You can listen to February's energy forecast. Hopefully you've downloaded your zodiac forecast as well to know where these events are going to take place in your life. But Mars moving into Aquarius energy, we are definitely going to feel that shift. Again, the Capricorn energy is an earth sign, very heavy, very weighted. We haven't been able to take as many moves and take as much action as we would like in this Capricorn energy because it was thinking more than it was doing. We had to think about our long-term vision, our long-term goals, if you will, in reference to our current circumstance and situation, and whether or not we actually want to continue pouring into some of the things that we were pouring into. And many of us have had a change of heart, change of mind, and therefore now we need to change direction. Again, this new moon in Aquarius acting as the pivot point. The Capricorn energy had us thinking very long term about the actions that we need to take in order to kind of break free from some of the constructs of our old lives, our old version of self, our old reality. Again, the breakdown energy, feeling those obstacles, challenges, and blockages. The Aquarius energy is the breakthrough energy. So with Mars, again, the physical body, our passion, our desires, and this Aquarius energy, it's going to be very much a stop-go energy. There are going to be sudden random bursts of physical energy where we're feeling inspired and motivated and hell-bent, damn well and determined to take action, to make moves, to problem solve, to clean up our space. But then we are going to just be on zero battery until that next sudden burst comes. So it is going to be a very different energy to navigate, but that's not even the big thing. I mean, yes, that's taking place on the 13th, but when Mars moves into this Aquarius energy, the first thing that he does is he teams up with Pluto. So we have the god of war and the god of the underworld conjunct here in this Aquarius energy, pushing for independence, pushing for rebellion, pushing for major change and transformation. What we can do better, where we can do better, how we can be better, how we can improve the visual that we are now currently trying to manifest. We will be experiencing the quote unquote love day here on the 14th, which of course is just a not so nice day in our history. Again, I'm not going to really go into a different rant about it. I think I do it every year. So I just don't want to be a little bit of a repetitive person here, but please just understand that it is not the love day that we have been programmed and conditioned to believe that it is, that it actually has a much darker past and history. And we also want to understand that on the 14th, we have some major energies coming at us that is, I'm going to say, is definitely setting the stage for some very interesting global topics and themes to pop off. And again, these indicators as we approach March and April, which is a very important point in the calendar. Again, the year ahead overview is there for your listening pleasure. We are getting the indicators over the next 2 weeks on what the topics and themes are going to be for the next essentially 20 years. And I know that sounds like a very long time to be thinking about right now, but you have to understand Pluto making all of these team up conjunctions with all of these planets now moving into this Aquarius energy is really helping to redefine what it is that we're going to be working on in this, I'm going to call it Age of Aquarius, but technically speaking, this change is transformation, the seeds that we're planting right now that we will be building upon for the years to come. So Mars, as soon as he moves into this Aquarius energy, going to be popping off with Pluto. Again, we're going to have to really pace ourselves with the physical form, with our, I'm going to say, impulses, our aggression, our passion, our anger, our desire. Mars and Pluto teaming up is a very sketchy thing to consider for the global stage and some of the tension and conflict that has been building on the global stage. Expect some major headlines. On the 16th, we are going to be having our first quarter moon taking place in Taurus energy. So we have to understand that as I'm coming to you here Friday evening, we just had the new moon pop off. From the new moon to the first quarter moon, that is when the downloads, the information, the seeds that we're planting, if you will, when they're actually being realized. That first quarter moon provides us with a choice point, with a decision point, with a point of action. And in Taurus energy, this is going to be hands-on in our physical realm type of stuff. This is going to be, I'm going to say, the first preliminary action, decision, or move to be made, not only since the new moon in Aquarius, but to establish the new path, the new direction that we're actually going to be walking. So that takes place on the 16th. From now until then, we are going to be building in our awareness, in our information, in our confidence, in our decisions, if you will. All of this is the inner realm, but by the time we reach the 16th, we will have a hands-on action, a move to actually make in our physical realm. And on the 16th, we have Venus, who happens to rule over the Taurus energy that we'll be having our first quarter moon phase in. Venus will be leaving the Capricorn energy for the Aquarius energy as well. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, when Venus moves into Aquarius energy, we are emotionally detached so that we can act as the observer. Again, in typical Capricorn to Aquarius transitional fashion, the Capricorn energy is low and slow, has us very present in the physical body, very aware of the physical form of our physical circumstances, and we, typically speaking, focus on the problems. What is wrong? What is blocking us? What is holding us back? where we feel a little bit trapped, a little bit confined, if you will. We move into Aquarius energy, and again, the breakdown is the Capricorn energy. The breakthrough is the Aquarius energy. The Aquarius energy is going to have us act as the observer. We're in problem solver mode. We are going to be a little bit more independent, needing a little bit more time and space for us individually in order to get our mind, our heart space right. But we are visionary in this Aquarius energy, so we're definitely going to have some major heart activations. Now, again, when Venus moves into the Aquarius energy, who's she going to meet there? Pluto. Pluto is the god of the underworld. I'm going to take you back to July and August of 2023 when Venus retrograded in Leo energy and she conjunct with Pluto. Pluto took her to the underworld. She broke herself down. That's where we had the identity crisis begin. That is when the old self started to peel back the layers of what it is that we no longer need to hold on to. That is when the new version of self, essentially that creative life force spark, got created. And of course, we brought it out to play temporarily in November of 2023 under that Scorpio energy. We just anchored this version in, this timeline in, this karmic chapter in January 11th under that new moon in Capricorn. So Venus and Pluto coming together, that is going to be intense on the heart space. Why? Because we, in our old selves, in our old realm, in our old reality, in our old awareness, created a particular situation, relationship dynamics, routines, interactions, money matters. We basically built our physical realm off of that level of awareness, that level of vibration, that level of frequency. Well, we're new individuals now. We are putting the past behind us. And Pluto, the great transformer, and let me remind you, how does Pluto transform anything? He totally destroys the old. He destroys what's going to hold us back. He destroys the holding patterns of the old programming. And from that, a space is born for us to create something new, to build something new that is definitely more improved and a lot better than some of the situations and circumstances that we had previously found ourselves in. And because this is taking place in Aquarius energy, again, this is about acting as the observer. This is a visionary understanding of what it is that our heart wants, needs, and desires to feel safe, secure, happy, and stable. And we are about to get very serious on what we have to collapse, what we have to bring to an end, what we have to close the door on as far as the realm and reality that our old selves had created in order to create the space for us to pivot and start building towards something new. So definitely a lot of intensities going on here this week, especially with all of these still personal planets moving into this Aquarius energy, popping off with Pluto as soon as they get there. And just a reminder that we are in a week where the moon is going to start off in Pisces, the ending needed in order for a beginning to take place. Move into Aries energy for a couple of days, which is initiating a brand new lunar cycle, let alone bumping into Chiron, the wounded healer, and the North Node in Aries as well. So there's definitely going to be growth, aggression, new passions, new desires being realized. And then we move into Taurus energy by the end of the week, which of course is going to help stabilize us, balance us out, so to speak, but put us in a situation where we're bumping into both Jupiter and Uranus. So a huge amount of growth, a huge amount of awareness, a huge amount of clarity, especially in relation to what we have to do in our physical realm to close the door on the old, to start building towards the new. So we're definitely in a very interesting week, and we are going to have a lot of energies pop off that, of course, is going to have a major impact, huge influence on our physical form. Before I jump into the Ascension symptoms that we could expect for the week ahead, just a couple of things I need to tick off my list. First of all, I just want to start by saying thank you. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for liking, for subscribing, for sharing, for commenting, for dropping beautiful emojis in the comment section, making it a very, very beautiful channel to scroll through. I want to thank those of you that have jumped over to Patreon, either as a paid subscriber or even a free member, to kind of sample some of the paid content that I put out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to thank those of you that have listened to the year ahead overview. Again, that's a 3-parter. Taking a look at the numbers there. think people are just kind of stopping after halfway through the first video, I can understand. We're all in a mental plane where some of us are not prepared to take the whole year in as of yet. But again, we have power, we have control where information and knowledge is concerned. And that's why I create the content that I do, so that we can stay ahead of the game. The 2024 astrology calendar is on my website, available for download anytime that you want to kind of get in alignment, get in gear, stay ahead of the game. And of course, downloading the February zodiac forecast will help that particular energy alignment as well. We're still very much in the new moon energy, which means that there is a new moon in Aquarius moon guide out there for your guidance, for your assistance to get in this realignment energy, if you should so choose. I thank you so much to those of you that have already downloaded the moon guide, doing the work, doing your part to help the collective through this particular adjustment period. I also want to take a very quick moment to thank both Dana and Andra for their love and support. They have joined up to my membership to support this channel. You're leading the whole group in this. I thank you so much for not only recommending it, but for jumping in and being my first supporters. So thank you very much to you two for kind of leading the charge. And of course, if you want to support me or my channel or do whatever it is that you need to do, you can hit that join button and become a member and show your love and support for me and for my channel. I thank you so much for doing so. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the Ascension symptoms that we can expect from this week. First of all, I would like to just kind of mention we are moving into a 2-week period. And again, 2-week period. So we're talking about the new moon right now. 2 weeks time, we will be in the full moon period. And that full moon is taking place in Virgo energy. And essentially, we will be in Pisces season at that time. Hate to tell you, but we're wrapping things up here in the Aquarius energy here on the 18th, and we will be locking into the Pisces energy. So this is essentially the last week of Aquarius season. Pisces season, going to be a totally different shit show. We'll cover that next week. But with that being said, this next 2 weeks will be the indicator of the topics, of the themes, of the karma, of the timeline that we are going to be digging into for a very long time. So I know I previously mentioned like this is kind of setting the tone on what it is that we're going to be experiencing for the next 20 years. Yes, it does have a reverberatory domino effect taking us into that 20-year particular time frame, let's say. But this is also very indicative of some of the topics and themes that we're going to be doing a deep dive in once we dive into eclipse season. I also want to mention that this is going to affect the fixed signs first and foremost. Not saying that you other modalities are going to get away with anything. It's just this is going to be an intensity for my fixed signs. And if you have fixed placements, you're going to want to check your chart for that. And a lot of this is because, again, Mars and Venus, they're inner planets. So the masculine and feminine energies, they're moving into Aquarius energy. Again, if you've listened to February's energy forecast or the year ahead overview, you would know that February 22nd is a major day in the cosmos, especially where Mars and Venus are concerned. But having those two bump into Pluto, again, that is a brand new cycle between these particular planets. And there is a total destruction of the toxic masculine energy that will now be collapsed in order for the divine masculine to rise in. And just like Mars, when Venus follows suit, there's going to be an ending, a closure to the dark, toxic, wounded feminine energy of the collective. And again, we're going to rise up in that divine feminine goddess energy, which we're definitely going to need. And then on the 22nd, those two have their little dance in the cosmos, that lover's kiss, if you will. There's a total reset for all of those energies within each and every single one of us, and manifesting in the relationship dynamics that will be forever changing because of that particular event as well. So this is going to be a powerful 2 weeks. Pay attention to some of the topics and themes that pop off here in the next 2 weeks, because that, again, is going to be a major indicator on some of the topics and themes that we are going to have really struggle to navigate through, especially once eclipse season comes, when we have these Mars-Venus activations and watching Mars and Venus kind of evolve through their own type of energy structure. This is definitely going to be something to pay attention to. Thus, why it's affecting the fixed signs the most, because it's taking place in Aquarius energy, a fixed air sign. So with that being said, like I kind of mentioned here at the beginning, I woke up with a headache. I woke up with some serious head pressure, borderline migraine, so much so that I can barely even turn my head to one side. Yep, first thing I did, I checked that Schumann Resonance, and lo and behold, there is an X-class flare popping off. And if you take a look at the last couple of days of the Schumann Resonance, you will see beautiful patterns emerge. We had some light pillars there. We had a reset indicator. We had an ending indicator, a reset, and a beginning indicator. And then those pillars of light came in. To me, that speaks very, very highly of the depth of the programming, of the conditioning that we were able to kind of break up or break down in kind of waiting for this huge blast coming here today, this new moon in Aquarius energy, clearing us out of that, let's call it emotional, mental, spiritual debris. This is why I've been saying that this is the pivot point. And we see that in instruments that collect the energetic forces coming in from the cosmos. And the fact that they align with some of these astrological events, it's no coinky-dink. There is a direct correlation between the energy kind of being, pushed on the earth plane from certain astrological influences and the actual read of the energy coming in from the sun. So there is a lot of head pressure, and I don't know, I'm assuming that this is going to kind of come and go over the course of this next week. I mean, Mercury being in this Aquarius energy, our head is kind of all over the place. Whether or not you are finding it manifesting as a headache, as maybe migraines, as maybe just a lot of pressure up there in the head. There's rapid processing going on. We are in this weird state where we can just kind of like zone out. We can be a little bit spacey, a little bit dissociative, if you will, and then all of a sudden we get zapped back into our physical form. That's just Aquarius energy. That's just, the point in the calendar that we're in. But to have Mercury and the sun and then Mars and Venus join into that Aquarius energy, you best believe there's likely going to be some head pressure continue into this next week. And if we're going to kind of start from the head space, just understand that our crown is wide open right now, connecting to other individuals, really moving into that collective source energy, and thus why we're having the head pressure. And because of that, you may find that your hair may hurt, right? You know what it's like when you got to take your hair out of that ponytail and your hair physically hurts. It may actually, if you rub your hands through your hair and go against the grain, it might feel electric, like nerve endings just popping off. There is a lot of pressure in the head. Therefore, there's going to be sinus congestion. There's going to be ear clogging, ear muffling. Yes, there's clicking, there's popping, there's ringing, but those are just normal kind of ascension symptom type of things. There's just a lot of pressure. And again, I'm going to give you that airplane analogy where you're in the airplane and your ears pop and you spend that entire flight trying to get them to pop again so that you're not kind of living underwater in that muffled sensation. So a lot of pressure in that headspace. So much so that our eyes are a little bit squinty. Everything is a little bit bright. Everything is going to even get brighter. Again, we are in the dark phase of the moon. There is no illumination right now, but as the week progresses, you best believe we're going to get lighter and brighter on huge, huge leaps with information and details coming in, totally changing the game. And because our eyes, our physical eyeballs are adjusting to the amount of information and awareness coming in through the crown and coming in through our physical realms, our eyes are having a hard time adjusting to the peripheral, to the perspective, to the visual, to the light spectrum. we are definitely feeling a lot of squintiness in the eyes, a lot of tightness in the eyes as well. So we are going to feel that head pressure kind of hit the central nervous system where we bring in information. Again, that's ears, nose, mouth, eyes, touch. There's a lot of sensory situations that are taking place right now because of this pivot point, because of this recalibration, because of this realignment energy. We are going to feel that energy kind of get stuck in our neck. I'm feeling that right now. Getting stuck in the neck is at that top part of the spinal column, the top part of those vertebrae, where there is going to be this energy release at some point here this week, and really activating the pineal gland, which of course brings in new information, new knowings, new downloads, new aha moments, new epiphanies. And so the headspace is still going to be pressurized in a particular way, but that tension is going to be felt in the neck. It's going to be felt in our, let's call it upper back, because the lower back is actually the programming, the conditioning programming that is getting broken up right now. That's a different ache and pain for a different reason. We'll get there in just a second. But the upper back, there's tension in our shoulder blades. There is this want, need, and desire to be able to crack our back that we're just not going to feel satisfied with. There is this, I'm going to say, radiating numbness coming from some of the pressurized points in the physical form that may come into your shoulders and down your arms. Maybe you're having, tennis elbow situations, or, your wrists are seizing up, or you feel weak in your wrists. Again, we talked about the activations in the palm chakras over the last, week, but technically couple of months that we've been trying to work on, thus the finger injuries. But right now we're going to feel that energy kind of stop at our wrists because it's not a time of hands-on action yet. And so the energy that is kind of, charging us up, so to speak, or I often think of like the defibrillators. Think of the cosmos putting defibrillators on the earth and giving us a good blast to try and get our vibration, our frequency up, and then they step back to see how much resuscitation, I guess, we're going to gain in our awareness. And then all of a sudden they come at us again from a different angle and they put the paddles on earth and blast us again. If that isn't a great analogy for what it's going to be in our physical bodies, where Mars is moving into the Aquarius energy, I don't know what is, but the fluctuation of getting these jolts of energy and then stepping back and feeling it kind of dissipate in your physical body, highlighting the energy blockages, showing you where your meridians are open, where they're closed, what needs more attention, what needs more work. This is going to be a time when there's going to be a full awareness. And then we step back, we observe, we come up with a solution to it. We try something new, we fix it, we heal it, we repair it, and then jolt, we get another blast of energy, highlights the blockages once again, the challenges once again, and then we go through the whole cycle. This is why Aquarius energy, the Aquarius season in its totality, is as pressurized as it is, because our central nervous system in our physical form is what is receiving the energetic, let's call it defibrillation, from the cosmos right now. That's where we're feeling it the most. So again, the numbness, that tingling sensation, or the achiness, the pains in your shoulders, in your elbows, stopping at the wrists, pay attention to what is manifesting in your physical form, especially if it's one side over the other. That's a good indicator of the meridians that are cleared out versus the ones that aren't cleared out on either side of your body, front, back, side to side. That is an indicator on the emotions, the mental plane, where there are certain blockages, where we have to wait for that next charge of energy to kind of focus our energy on that particular area so that we can clear those particular energetic blockages out as well. So if we're moving down the body, of course, we're going to have to talk about the throat chakra, which has been kind of itchy, kind of scratchy. We're not really saying a whole lot. I think most of us are very introverted at this time, trying to piece together what it is that we need to be saying, watching our words a little bit, I'm going to say more carefully than anything else. We realize the weight of our words. We realize the repercussions and consequences that our words can actually bring upon. And if we're not ready for those particular outcomes, then we're just not going to say it. And so because of that, again, last week we had this whole like fuzzy sweater teeth situation. I feel like our mouths are going to be super dry. Even if we're putting a lot of liquid into us and staying hydrated, it feels very dry. Think of all the air energy in our chart right now, right? There's a huge amount of air energy, and it is drying us the F out in all ways, in all different dimensions, especially when it comes to our physical form. Our skin is dry, but yet it's kind of puffy and swollen. Our lips are dry, our eyes are dry, everything is just dry. So of course, it's very important to stay hydrated, but even with that, it's going to feel like we have dry mouth all the time. That's that throat chakra. And then if we go down a little bit more, we have to expect huge heart activations this week. So fluttering in the heart, maybe your heart rate is up, skipping a beat, maybe there's gas, pain, indigestion, maybe you need to crack your back with that tension in the shoulder blades in order to release some of the friction and the tension in your chest space. Either way, we have been sitting in Capricorn energy, which yes, has been great in order for us to kind of handle our emotions in our inner realm, our change of heart, from a little bit of a more grounded perspective than being all caught up in the emotions of it all. But at the same time, it is so heavy and weighted. And again, Capricorn energy is an earth energy. We're going all the way up to the highest element, which is air energy. And there is a huge gap between earth energy and air energy. And so it is going to feel totally different, but it is going to have a major impact on how it is that we're feeling in our emotional realm. Again, there has already been a change of heart. There has already been a change of mind. We just haven't really changed the direction yet because we haven't gained the clarity on how to actually move forward. But this is even going to be more refining of that heart space through these heart activations once Venus actually moves into that Aquarius energy, because we get to detach even more emotionally because we're intellectualizing our feelings. So in the Capricorn energy, like, we had to feel our feelings. That's why we've been depressed. That's why we've been sad. That's why we've been feeling trapped and blocked and held back and weighted and depressed, right? Because that earth energy, man, like, that's heavy. That is heavy. But we're going to break free of that, move into the Aquarius energy. But what happens is we're no longer really feeling it. We're thinking about feeling it, or we're thinking about how it's going to feel. We're thinking about different visuals on what it is that we need to do in order to clear the space from some of the choices that our old self has made, especially where relationship dynamics are concerned, in order to free us up, to be more independent, to understand where it is that we have to reestablish our own energy without being influenced by the people around us. We have to gain clarity on how it is that we actually feel about the people in our lives, about the circumstances in our lives, and where it is that this change of heart is now leading us to having new wants, needs, and desires. And that Aquarius energy is going to allow us to act as the observer by still remaining very true to our heart space, but not being so caught up in the feels that we are making choices dependent on our emotions instead of our actual intellect. So this is a beautiful time for us to gain some perspective on what these changes of heart actually mean to us, where these changes of worth and value actually impact our current relationship dynamics, and the visual that we now have to piece together due to our heart space changing on what it is that we actually want to be manifesting. So right below the ribs is our solar plexus. And because this is a pivot point, because things are changing, because we're, moving into a very interesting time period, there's going to be some kind of indigestion, some kind of gas bubble. You may have burps. You may have them come out the other way. You may feel like you're going to puke. You may feel like you're hungry. You may not even know the difference between needing to burp, puke, and eat. That is the kind of situation that we're in. And all of this is just extra added gas. Again, air, right? The air in us and the air outside of us, just creating a lot of different problems that we haven't experienced in a little bit. And that solar plexus, because that is evolving, we are definitely going to feel the most tension right below our ribs. So you're going to be in situations where you're like, is this a heart activation or is this a solar plexus activation? Yep, both. Let's just chalk it up to both. They're too close in proximity to even define what the difference is at this point. We just have to understand that our will, our passion, our desire, our identity is changing. Our heart space is changing. Our head space is changing. The path and the direction that we will be walking in here very soon is also changing. A lot of change. Now let's take it a little bit lower. There is going to be a little bit of tension, a little bit of discomfort down between the hips. Now that is where our sexual organs are. That is where the creator force energy comes from. And because we're building up in this energy, there may be some puffiness, there may be some inflammation, there may be some cramping, there may be some tension, because we're building in the creative force energy that we need to be standing very firmly at, especially once we enter into the new astrological calendar, but we're not there yet. Again, we're cultivating the spark, this fire, this flame that we need to keep alive and well within us in order for us to sustain what it is that we have to do in order to aggress ourselves on this path, on this new quest, this new adventure that we are about to embark on. And so, our hips are feeling kind of tight, our lower back. Here's where we get to this. This is the root chakra. This is Plutonian energy. This is Saturn energy. This is survival programming. This is our identity. This is what roots us to the ego avatar. And that has officially changed. It is going to continue to change. But at this particular point, there's a lot of lower back tension, pain, discomfort. We feel it in our hips. We feel it in our butt. We feel it in our tailbone. That is the, let's call it ego, human avatar programming and coding being rewritten. And it does not feel good. But to have that sensation means that something is being rewritten. So we have to go through the not so fun parts in order to come out on the other side with a much better programming. That being said, your valves in your bladder may have spasms, may have more frequency added to them this week than anything else. We're feeling that pressure again in that hip space, in that butt space, but also in the top part of our thighs. Again, many of us are feeling tingling sensations in our lower extremities, feeling the rigidity, the popping, the cracking in our lower extremities. Again, a lot of that is because we're getting A, tired of standing around, B, we are kind of experiencing cold feet because the anticipation of us standing around waiting for the green light go is kind of getting to us. It's a little bit jittery. We have like sea legs. That turbulence that we were experiencing from last week's airplane analogy of feeling the earth below our feet actually shake, that is that Uranian energy coming in. We just aren't feeling as safe, secure, and stable on our two legs as we once did. And heads up, once we move into Pisces energy, the temperature is going to change in our feet. We're going to have cold feet. That is the anticipation of jumping into a new astrological calendar where we are going to be full stop, energetic, ready to go, taking action, making moves, creating something new. But we're not there yet. So the instability in our legs right now is going to kind of come and go and ebb and flow with the stability versus instability. And then once we move into Pisces energy, we're going to feel the temperature change, the circulation change in those extremities as well. But we're holding all of this energy in our lower extremities because we want to take action. We want to make moves. We want to move forward. We can't. We're not being supported in doing so right now. And again, standing around is kind of getting on our nerves. We're getting tired. We're kind of pacing back and forth. It's getting a little bit boring up here in this pause, in this hold. So that kind of takes us through, the physical form, so to speak, and kind of highlighting some of the different ascension symptoms that we can expect to manifest due to the realignment, the recalibration going through the chakra system at this particular point in time. But I want to talk about the time, space, gravity issue. Okay, so we are going to be moving into a time warp. I've been talking about this for weeks. This new moon in Aquarius is the green light go ahead and the fast forward button being smashed at the same time by the universe, which means that we're moving into the time warp. We're moving into an accelerated time of change. This is where the pivot point is coming in. With the time warp, of course, time is going to go very fast and then it's going to slow down to a snail's pace and we're going to be stuck in a pause again that people aren't going to be too happy about. And then we're going to rotate through that stop, go, stop, go, stop, go, hold energy a couple more times. But the space issue, okay, so gravity, when you get the dropsies, that is usually an indicator that there's a glitch in the matrix, that the vibrations and the frequency of the framework of the matrix is changing. So when you have the dropsies, it is because your energy in your physical form and the energy of your environment are no longer in alignment. They're no longer matching because the framework and the matrix is going through, I'm going to call it an upgrade, but it's not. The collective is going through an upgrade, which is diminishing the framework of the matrix, but it's still glitching out. And again, I'm going to give you the defibrillator analogy. there's a cosmic force out there just putting those paddles on Earth, giving us a good jolt, and then stepping back, letting that simmer, and then coming at us once again. And so the space issue is that, again, we've talked about this before. It's like you could almost close your eyes and walk through your house and go find certain items just by the remembrance of awareness of the space and the distance of your environment. But you're going to be bumping into walls, thinking that the walls actually moved into your way. You're going to be tripping over things that technically aren't there. You're going to be misstepping, seeing things like, oh, I feel like something's there. I'm going to have to step over it. You go to step over it and you almost kill yourself by twisting your ankle type of thing, realizing that there was nothing there to begin with to step over. This is the, I'm going to call it, domino effect of having the grid receive more energy in order to destabilize the matrix grid and re-energize the collective grid, because we are all grid keepers. We are coming in and we are electrically charging the connection in between all of us so that the, I'm going to call it, electrical net that lays over the earth is way more charged than the framework of the matrix currently is, because we're collapsing that. They're trying really hard to keep that framework, energized and strong enough to diminish our light keeper grid, but it ain't working. So we got to continue to do what we got to do to make sure that those particular glitches are called out. When you realize that time is going fast, call it out. Hey, game programmer, I see you hit the fast forward button. Good for you. Thank you for that. Oh, they hit the pause button again. I'm in a holding pattern. Again, call it out. Yeah, you may feel like you're batshit crazy. We all do at times, but you got to call these things out. Again, remember, vibration and frequency. What is your power with vibration and frequency? Your voice. It has a vibration frequency signature in your voice. What you speak and call out makes things real. And this is why we have to call it as we see it. So the space, when you're bumping into things, okay, programmers, so I see you moved that wall over 6 inches because I know it wasn't there yesterday. Or, okay, I just tripped over an imaginary shoe. Thank you so much for that. I hope you're laughing. I hope I entertain you. These are the conversations that we need to be having so that they know that we know that, they're making alterations to our time, space, gravity, dimension type of thing. But we're definitely going to be feeling more of that as we move through the energy shift of this week. Now, with that being said, we want to talk about this. We've talked about it before. Doesn't happen too often, but when it does, it's a huge major key indicator that we're kind of evolving at a rapid rate. And it's the cobweb sensation. When you literally feel like you walk through a cobweb and it's stuck to your face and you can't get it off and it's in your eyelashes and it's up your nose and it feels like there's something on you and there's nothing really on you, but technically, interdimensionally, there very much is. And because the glitches are happening, because we are charging up the light grid, let's call it, and we are essentially trying to charge down the matrix framework grid, there's glitches that happen. And again, the defibrillator giving us huge surges of energy and then stepping back and seeing what we do with them type of thing. This particular energy is putting us in a situation where interdimensionally we are walking through dimensional grid works that we may not be able to see, we may not be able to sense, but we can sure as hell feel it. And to us, it feels like there is a cobweb on us. There's this sticky, webby, itchy, feathery type of sensation that comes over us. And it's essentially when we walk through the ever-changing parameters, if you will, of the framework that we are trying to collapse and the new framework that we're trying to build. So pay attention on whether or not you walk through cobwebs here this week. I want to talk about the spasms, the tremors, the quivering inside of our body. A lot of this comes with the adjustment period of receiving new insights, new information, new energies for sure. But again, I'm going to throw that defibrillator, idea at you. Just think of all that energy that courses through your body when you get those paddles on you and then you step back and you kind of watch the body react to that. And so where we have spasms or quivers or, these little tremors in our body, please understand that that is the high influx of energy trying to break up energy blockages in your physical body. And again, depending on where they're taking place, hugely indicative of where it is that your attention is being asked, being redirected to certain topics and themes of that particular area of the body, of that particular chakra, rulership of that area of the body. It is a huge tell on what we are trying to kind of override, if you will. And although they can be super freaking annoying, that quivering and how to get it to stop and all of the different things that you can do to try and make it stop, at some point we just have to kind of ride it out and be aware that it's trying to do us a favor. It's trying to do us a good thing. And we need to do our part to try and release those energy blockages and especially just like get it over with so that we don't have to experience that really weird sensation of inner quivers. Okay, so I did kind of talk about this, but I want to take it one step further. We talked about especially the Capricorn energy that we're moving out of being the breakdown phase, right? And how we're moving into this Aquarius season and chapter, which is the breakthrough phase. I want to talk about it being the break up phase. Now, everybody's going to say, oh, breakups, relationship breakups. Well, yeah, but a lot of that is contributed to Mars and Venus, coming to the ending of their last chapter and about to kind of renew a brand new soul contract here on the 22nd. But mostly what I'm talking about when I say about breakup is the breakup of energy. The breakup of energy that has created this physical form that we call our earth plane, our, environment, if you will. The breakup of energy within our bodies, again, the quivering, the spasms, the tremors, the breakup of the, I'm going to say, construct of tension and conflict that we've become very aware of over these last couple of months. And the breakup of certain thoughts, certain feelings, because again, that comes with programming. And many of us have been noticing how all of a sudden we just don't align with the same belief anymore. We just don't feel that way anymore. Some of the things that we love doing, we have no interest in doing anymore. Some of the things that we never thought we'd be interested in, suddenly we are totally obsessed with. This is the pivot point. This is the new level of awareness. This is the new level of information, details, of spark, of passion, of fire coming into the cosmos right now in order for us to have this pivot point. So the breakup phase can manifest in many different ways, but just know that it is essentially trying to break up whatever is clogged, whatever is stuck, whatever is stagnant, in order for us to basically start piecing together something that is better. May I remind you, Aquarius season in its totality is about improvement. What could we do better? How can we be better? What could we do different? Where can we think outside of the box? Where can we be more independent? Where do we have to rebel and revolt against the old ways of doing things? This is innovation. This is progression. This is, again, that observer type of mentality so that we're not making decisions based off of our emotional responses of the ego. And instead, we're able to step outside of ourselves, see things from a bigger, broader perspective, and therefore have a different observation, a different suggestion of the methods that we have to actually implement in order to create a different result. I'm going to give you the definition of insanity, which is doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, expecting a different result. The Aquarius energy is like, okay, well, you're not going to get a different result unless you try to do things differently. Let's break the habit. Let's break the form. Let's break up the patterns. And let's try something new. So this is very much why we're in the breakup / breakdown / breakthrough phase of this particular calendar. So the stop-go energy is definitely going to get on everybody's nerves, no doubt about that. But one thing that I think is going to come into focus here over this next week is the very fine line between passion and anger. Now, when we talk about passion and anger, we're talking about Mr. Mars. And because the line is very thin and it's coming in sudden bursts, we could be in a hell-bent mood and attitude that we're inspired and motivated, and we are determined to see a specific outcome. And then all of a sudden, we do not care. Like, do not care, not inspired, not motivated to do a damn thing. Let's not get down on ourselves when those particular energies kind of hit us. This is part of the process, if you will. But we are going to go from being highly passionate, highly engaged, highly inspired, highly motivated to just downright angry. What are we angry about? Well, that's going to differ from person to person, depending on your journey at this particular point in time. But collectively speaking, we're tired of the bullshit. We're tired and we're angered of this fight. We're tired and angered of having to be put in situations and positions to constantly have to push our way forward to what is right, what is good. And again, you know, that element of finding the fine line between passion and anger, that is the sweet spot of energy that we have to use as a fuel, as a source to keep this fire lit. We have to cultivate this fire. It's going to be very hard to do in the Aquarius energy because it's stop, go. And then heads up, when we move into the Pisces energy with Mars, it's going to be all based on intuitive action, intuitive thoughts, intuitive feelings. And so we're going to be all up in the feels with Mars in that Pisces energy. Right now, we're all up in the highest form of our mind space. Stop and go, observe. Stop and go, observe, right? Again, very much the defibrillator type of analogy as well. Pump us full of energy, step back, observe. Pump us full of energy, step back, observe. So this is kind of I'm going to say a little bit of a dance, a little bit of cha-cha-cha that most people aren't going to want to dance to, but you may as well dance, you may as well roll than be dragged, because either way, we're going through it. There's a major change. And we're going to see a lot of those changes not only take place in the energetic field, which of course impacts our physical bodies, but we're going to feel that change in our mood, in our attitude as well. And I don't know about y'all, but we could all use a little bit more of the good mood and attitude and a little bit less of negative Nancy, of Debbie Downer. So hopefully once we get these personal planets out of the Capricorn energy, we all start kind of amalgamating here in this Aquarius energy. We're going to put that Debbie Downer mood and attitude behind us that is very much connected to the Capricorn energy. But nonetheless, we are just now pressurized to make some changes, to come up with some solutions, to do better, to be better, to create better in moving forward. So again, tap in to what fuel is going to fuel you the longest. Sometimes it's hard to stay excited about something. Sometimes it's easier to tap into anger and frustration of not wanting to do the same old ever again. That could be a better motivating force, a better fuel, a better source of fuel than excitement and inspiration ever could be. So we just have to kind of refine our fuel, our why. Why are we charged up? Why are we angry? Why are we passionate? Why are we determined? Why do we have to make a change? Why do we want to do better? Why? Right? We're moving into the Aquarius energy and the Pisces energy of the zodiac calendar, which is now asking for a deeper meaning. Like, why? Why are we doing this? How did we end up here? Why did we end up in this place? Right? The why is really going to be, I'm going to say, a major focus, especially as we navigate Pisces season, which is coming at us here at the end of this week. So guys, I think that's all I want to talk about here this week. It's a pretty hefty list of some physical discomforts that we can expect to experience. But of course, we're not going to sit around. We're not going to whine about it. We're not just going to let it put us in a state of paralysis. You got to get your ass up. You got to move. In order to break up, again, we're in this breakup phase, to break up the energies, you have to move your body. It's emotion for a reason. Your emotions are energy in motion. But if your body stays stagnant and you don't dance in the kitchen and you don't go for a walk and you don't kind of go through the actions that you need to go through, whether you feel good about it or not, of your day, then you are basically just, submitting to the cosmos and saying, no, I really like to feel this pain. I like to just feel like I'm not in control at all. I'm just going to lay here and play victim. We're not about those games anymore. We once were back at the beginning stages of the awakening. We're not there anymore. We have to rise up. We have to face our lives in whichever way we are currently feeling. And the best way to break out of a funk or to break up the energy blockages in your body is to create motion, So get your ass up, even though it's the hardest thing to do. Dance in the kitchen, put some music on, sing, clap, do what you got to do. Shake it out of your physical body. This is the only power and control that we actually have on being able to be aware of the issue, address it whichever way we can, and realize how powerful we actually are. So I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I send you so much love, and we'll talk to you soon.